Think we have our cold open.
Oh yeah.
Hello, friends. This is Christy, and you're listening to Tales to Inspire.
Angry words. Omission interrupts a tender moment between Crystal Gazer and Dr. Fusion in order to get some answers. How will the frustrated couple respond to his pestering questions? Also, an unseen spectator listens in. Who could be spying on our trio of heroes?
As we open up this issue of Tales to Inspire, we see a modest apartment living space. And in the corner, there is a little yellow box that says May 1945. And Dr. Fusion, I would like for you, or rather Occam, I would like for you to describe what does this living space look like?
It's very bare bones. There's a couch, there's a TV, there's like a bookshelf, but it only has like 2 or 3 books on it. The kitchen is bare. There's a knife block that only has like 4 knives, and like barely anything.
All steak knives.
Yeah, all steak knives. That's all it is. You can tell that the kitchen has never been used. It's just pristinely clean. The stovetop has never been turned on.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you had a flat in London, you had converted the kitchen into like your laboratory where you were keeping that energy source. Mm-hmm. Do you have that energy source like set up in the kitchen here?
No. This place, he literally only comes here when Crystal Gazer is there.
Okay.
And she does not let him work on his projects while they're together.
Okay. So you don't have any of your scientific equipment here.
Not like a permanent setup. He would have like a quick like briefcase setup, I guess, with like a few things in it, but that's about it.
Okay. So we see this scene, and it's all very dark. There is only one lamp that is illuminating this room, and next to the lamp is a chair. And Mitchell, who is sitting in that chair, and could you describe how they are sitting?
Yeah, Omission is sitting at the chair, his usual disheveled look, sporting bruises, no shirt, with like suspenders keeping his pants up, bare feet. He's got he hasn't shaved, so he's kind of got a scruffy looking face now, and he just kind of has his hands together as he's looking down at the ground.
But yeah, we also see Crystal Gazer and Dr. Fusion in this small apartment. What do y'all look like? How are you posed in this opening shot?
Can this be like right afterwards?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I think he says that Dr. Fusion turns to him and kind of lowers his eyes. What are you doing here?
I'm here for answers. concerning the Manhattan Project and why your name is all over it.
Yeah, this couldn't have waited till the morning.
No.
Does the Manhattan Project ring a bell for me?
Let's have a move right off the bat. Let's go ahead and roll and examine. And while Occam is getting those dice ready, Crystal Gazer, I guess you already said, your line, but do you want to describe yourself in any other way?
Yeah, so she is still damp. And not like that. Ow, ow! The previous episode, there was a lot of water. So she's still, her hair usually done in stop, David, I see you with the air quotes saying water. So she usually, her hair is perfectly done. There's not ever a hair out of place. She's usually dressed very nicely. Her dress, I think I might have said, I don't remember what kind of material I said, but it's still damp in weird places, so it's still kind of clinging strangely. And her hair is just limp, which is never her hair. Her hair always has body and volume and is perfectly blow dried and, just curled. I mean, it just always looks on. And so she's wet, damp, and as soon as she walks in the door, she's starting to take her coat off before she sees Omission, so her hands are still on the top of her collar as she's trying to take this off. And her eyes are big, and her eyebrows are furrowed harshly, and she tries not to furrow her eyebrows that hard. She really doesn't want this line that I have right here, because I have resting bitch face. So she's trying to avoid wrinkles, so she doesn't make this face, but she's pissed. She's no, not tonight. No, any night, not tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Occam, back to you. What did you roll for that examine?
I rolled a 10.
A 10. So on a 10 plus, you get to ask me a number of questions equal to your investigate score.
It's a 2.
So 2. Really? Only a 2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't increase it last time. I increased my maneuver because I had kind of fallen into a speedster-ish role, so I just kind of made that more viable. So yeah, okay.
Yes, what 2 questions do you have?
First question: what is the Manhattan Project?
Okay, what is the Manhattan Project? Because of your government contract, you would know the Manhattan Project is truly, it's a misnomer to mislead spies because very little of the Manhattan Project is actually based in Manhattan, but it is an exploration into an atomic weapon. It is the United States' top secret atomic weapon program. And you would know, because you are associated with science, that Germany is trying to get their own. The Soviet Union was trying to get their own. Britain was trying to get their own. Everybody has their own nuclear weapons project, and the Manhattan Project is America's.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And my second question. Did Colonel Leslie Groves have anything to do with the Manhattan Project?
He was in charge of it.
I see.
Yes. He is the military head of the project. Oppenheimer is, of course, the brain behind it. He's a destructor. He's a destroyer of worlds. But Leslie Groves is the one hey, this is how it's going to be made. This is the bomb, and these are the targets that we're going to have. So yeah, okay. Colonel Leslie Groves, whom you have met, is in charge of the Manhattan Project.
Okay. And not as a question, you don't have to answer it unless you want to.
Okay.
As far as I know, my research was not in any way connected to that, correct?
Originally, when the government was paying you to do your research and do your project, it was under the guise of sustainable energy. However, I think after you went to Germany and you saw how your tech was being used by the Nazis, you became more interested in that. And you've mentioned this. You have become more interested in figuring out where your tech was going. And I think you have figured out that some of your research and your technology was allocated, shall we say, by the military for the Manhattan Project.
But not with my permission, necessarily.
we haven't fully explored that yet.
I know.
But no, you knowing you, I do not think you signed off on it and said, yeah, sure, take it.
So, okay, if that's the case, maybe I've been in, like, trying to go through the bureaucracy and trying to, like, stop them from using my stuff for it.
Sure.
Okay.
I think that's appropriate.
Cool.
Yeah. So, Omission says, why was your name all over the Manhattan Project?
Doc doesn't say anything right away. He takes his jacket off and hangs it. Pushes his shoes to the side, and grabs a kind of, it's like some loafers, some like house shoes, tosses them at Omission. You're going to get the floor dirty.
Doesn't matter, you'll forget.
I'll forget you. I won't forget the stains.
He'll slip his feet into these shoes.
Now, what is it you wanted to know?
Why your name was all over the Manhattan Project.
In truth, I do not know. My research has been reallocated.
And it started with you?
It started with my energy project in Oregon.
It started with you.
It was not meant for this purpose originally.
Yeah, but you're a smart guy, right?
Apparently not smart enough.
I think I understand a little bit more about you.
What's that supposed to mean?
That means I thought potentially he was someone who could think beyond the colored lines, but that's not the case. There were consequences to this project. Consequences that you'll be made aware of, I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks. But consequences nonetheless. Did you guys have a good day?
Yeah, we really were having a great day until real recently.
That's a shame.
I'm gonna make some tea. Anybody want some tea? And she walks into the kitchen, where there's maybe not even a tea bag. Maybe not even a tea kettle.
To use the stove for the first time. Dr. Fusion walks past the living room to the bathroom and grabs a towel and just starts to kind of wipe his, dry his hair and walks back into the living room with the towel. So, what was so urgent that you needed to see me tonight?
That your technology was going to be used to kill a lot of people. So I wanted you to be aware of that so that hopefully you can do something about it.
I have been trying.
Try harder?
I can't just break into a government facility.
Why not?
If you have not forgotten, I am a German. And for a German superhero to break into a US facility would only cause me more pain.
Okay, but how about the pain of everyone else? The pain of what your technology is doing to people?
If it wasn't for mine, they would have found a way anyways.
People like to say that, sure.
Sweetie, not all of us can be forgotten just as soon as people turn away from us. It ain't that easy.
I've made sacrifices. Just as everyone else has. This is something else that you're going to have to sacrifice.
And I think right after Omission says, I've made sacrifices, there's a quick just panel in between the two of Hush, her back turned to you as you were walking away.
God damn it.
And then the next panel, you're continuing your dialogue.
So yeah, I'm asking you to make that sacrifice. Because someone has to make it right. And I've done all I can. But in the end, we need to figure out who has this information. And we need to make sure it doesn't see the light of day.
It sounds as if you know where it is.
I knew where it was. It's not there anymore.
What do you mean?
That means the people who I knew who had it are dead.
So what do you need Doc for?
I'm sure there are other places that have this information as he's spread this information, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way towards you, in a careless manner. We need to hunt down each and every one, and what research you did accomplish needs to be gone.
My research was to help people. Millions.
It's not going to do that. It's going to do the opposite. And people will only remember you for the amount of people you killed, not the amount of people you saved. And that will be your legacy, unless you stop this.
That's a lot from someone who will leave no legacy.
This is true.
Damn.
Every day what I do knowing that no one will ever thank me. I don't get to be a part of the spotlight like other heroes.
Heroes. You're nothing more than a killer.
I am whatever it takes. These jabs don't hurt me. I've heard it time and time again.
I think they do. I think that they do.
You can only be hurt by someone whose opinion you care about.
I think, to break up the tension for a moment, you hear the kettle whistle and pouring. And as she comes around the corner, she only has 2 cups of tea. Then stops, looks at Omission, says, "Shit." Turns around, like another cup.
So, what are the next steps? Who else did you tell? Can you provide a list where it could have gone to? Who was the originator, the first person you gave this sort of research to? Did you have any lab assistants, other people who might have peer-reviewed your work?
Of that original group, no one. Geiger Gwyn made sure of that.
They're dead then?
From my second lab, there is a number of lab assistants, students. They would not give anything away willingly. Do I know if Leslie died in the explosion?
No. He did not die in the explosion in your lab.
Okay. There's only one man that I gave my plans to, my government liaison, Colonel Leslie Groves. I remember because we had the same first name.
And Omission, as he says that name, you remember there was a colonel at Site Y who had the badge Groves, who was barking orders specifically at you.
Oh, excellent. Well, all right, so we just need to figure out who Groves told and erase the data from American Intel.
I have bad news. I do not believe that this information is merely domestic anymore. Geiger Gwyn and I went on while you were in Sicily. Geiger Gwyn and I were on a covert mission to a research facility in the Alps. And they had somehow recreated my lab. We blew up that facility. There's nothing left there. And I managed to bring home a few of a few pieces of information, including, and he opens his briefcase and pulls out a vial that you've seen before, Omission, because he was messing with it in Germany.
Ooh, yeah, that's right. You had it in London whenever y'all shared
in London,
the flat.
yeah, sorry, in London when we shared the flat. So you've seen this vial.
How big is this vial?
I think at this point it's probably half empty at this point because he's been using it to test it and stuff. And it's only about this big, but it's about half full.
Okay.
And he kind of swishes it a little bit. This is a source of limitless power. This is what I was working on for so many years. I don't know how they finished it.
Crystal Gazer, as Dr. Fusion is talking about this, you have your telepathy. You can always pick up like the fragments of conversation all around you, and of course you hear Dr. Fusion. Of course you hear Omission.
She does not hear Dr. Fusion's thoughts.
Oh, you're so right. You hear static for Dr. Fusion, and you hear the surface of Omission's thoughts. But you hear someone else's thoughts. A little warbled. Maybe distant and far away, but not so far away as to not be a part of this conversation. It's a little strange. But you're picking up a new set of thoughts.
But there's nobody else here, so are we bugged then?
I don't know.
Stop. Stop talking. Don't say another fucking word. And she gets up and she like goes to the window and like pulls the curtains back, slams the window open the rest of the way, and looks outside.
Okay. You look outside and you see that city still dark, vacant, the lights all turned off. You can hear distant voices of people walking in the street trying to figure out what has happened. But I don't know. You don't see anybody nearby. There are people down on the street. Of course, there are people in the rooms next to you.
She's gonna turn on her heel, put her finger over her lips, and march to the front door and throw it open.
Omission and Dr. Fusion, are you just patiently waiting while she does this?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Doc would even realize why she was telling them to shush, like, because you can't talk in my head to tell me.
Yeah. Maybe you like keep whispering in your conversation to Omission.
Yeah, and I think she puts her finger over her lips and gives them a very purposeful look, and as she's walking back, she has this like thought in her head like, I don't understand what you're saying, and I really want to understand what you're talking about, so don't say another word till I catch up, okay? And like being super like loud and like, oh, wink, 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 wink.
Okay. Yeah, so you throw open the doors and you see a man walking down, kind of putting his hands on the wall to walk down the hallway as the hallway is just pitch black.
Hey.
Yeah?
Were you at our door just now?
No, I'm trying to find the stay. I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
She focuses her thoughts to see if it sounds like a familiar thought pattern that she just heard.
Yeah, you focus on him, and no, it was not his thoughts that you were picking up.
This place is barren, right? There's like this apartment's barren, right? Is there a notepad somewhere?
Oh yeah, I would have like a notepad or something to write notes. Yeah.
She goes over, I guess maybe to the bookshelf. Maybe there might be one there, something like that. Or,
yeah.
So she goes over to the bookshelf, grabs a pen, from somewhere nebulous. I assume there's a pen. Writes down, someone else is listening to us. Shut up. And turns it and points it at them and goes.
Okay. Did you shut the front door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Slam.
As you're shutting the front door, that guy was like, "Hey, you're Margaret," and then you shut the door in his face and walk away. Yeah. So you write that.
Okay.
So in her mind, there's two things that either is happening. Someone is listening, like actually physically listening, like cut to the wall listening, or there's a bug.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to walk to any device where there might be a wire, like any wires or anything like that, and start like the lamp that Omission turned on. She's going to the lamp and like fiddling with it, trying to figure out where, is there another extra wire here? Going to the phone. I assume there's a phone here. Potentially. Go into the phone, she's trying to figure out, she knows nothing about wires, but she's trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, please roll an examine. Occam, what were you going to say?
Doc is gonna go to the kitchen and grab a glass and walk up over to the wall, to one of the connecting walls for the other apartments, and just put a glass up to the wall and try to listen.
Okay. As you do that, you can hear people on the other side, and you can kind of hear they're talking loudly, and you hear one person like shouting down into the street. Yeah, they just went out a little bit ago, about an hour. I don't know. We tried all the switches. We can't get a hold of anybody.
Is the power on in this apartment?
The power's out, but I like the idea that Occam, you have jury-rigged part of your renewable energy source to fuel this room.
I have a little generator set up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's fair.
Because I
like
said that the light was on, and then like in the next sentence I said that it was a blackout, and I was like, oh shoot, wait.
Yeah, I was like, hold on. How does this work?
Yeah.
Have we just been talking in the pitch darkness? What? But okay, cool. Yeah.
You said investigate, right?
Yeah, and examine.
Examine. Yeah.
That's with your investigate stat.
Yeah. Well, I have the guilty condition still. So.
Oh, really?
So I rolled a 4, so it's a 2.
Oh man.
But I think the reason that she's not finding it is because she's trying to focus on like feeding fake information in to this person. So she's like, well, if they figured out some sort of unlimited, energy source or whatever, that sounds like hogwash to me. Are you sure it really works? Because it doesn't look like it would work.
I like this idea. Like she's like following a wire along the carpet, and she's like pulling and tugging at stuff, and she's talking. And I think she wanders like into the bedroom, and she's still talking, and it's like muffled behind the wall. But Omission, Dr. Fusion, I think, like, as she is looking and searching, you have some unresolved questions and answers and concerns.
Yeah, like for Omission, he doesn't really care because his words will be forgotten anyway, even if captured, so there won't be proof of what he said for too long. But he will get up and head over to their kitchen. Do they have any, like... I'm looking for stuff to set this building on fire.
I mean, there's a stove, like a gas stove.
Yeah, there's a gas stove.
But that's literally it. Like, there might be a dish towel.
No, that's perfect. Like, I think that's pretty much all
that's all we need.
Yeah.
Well, so... the Crystal Gazer, who was looking for a wire, was like... She stands up, she's in the bedroom, and she's still like bullshit talking, and she goes, God damn it, and slaps her forehead. And so she's trying to key back in to find that person, like find that voice, try to figure out and try to wire back in with her brain. Like, she immediately went to, there's a wire and I gotta find it. Now she's like, I'm an idiot, I have all the powers I need. And so she's like, meow, 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 trying to...
Also, if it was just a wire, you probably wouldn't hear their thoughts through it.
Yeah. I will allow you to do that. However, because you technically rolled a 2 on the examine, I'm going to remove you from the scene for a little bit.
Okay.
And then you can make that realization, then, yes, do that.
Yeah.
So Dr. Fusion, you see Omission going over to your gas stove and grabbing a dish towel, and
I've ignored him at this point. I watched him walk into the kitchen, and I just turned around and was like, whatever. And I go and look. I'm going to search the apartment, just like a deep search, checking behind the shower curtain and in the closet and everything.
Okay. You start looking. I will not have you roll and examine. You don't find anything.
Okay. I come back out of the bedroom after checking the closet, and I think that's when I see what Omission is doing. What are you doing exactly?
Yeah, exactly.
He's just gonna, with his hands, kind of pantomime a oven explosion.
So you're trying to set my apartment on fire, is what you're doing right now.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. He's probably got like the oven down and is like playing with the gas knobs and stuff and trying to figure out like the perfect gas distribution in the kitchen and like when to light the towel so that they have a little bit of time to get out.
Do you like have the the oven on and like gas leaking
Probably.
right now?
Yeah. It's pretty easy.
Okay.
You just go.
Sure. Dr. Fusion sees Omission messing with the kitchen. I mean, he doesn't know what he's doing. He just walks up to him and shoves him back against the wall and reaches down and clicks the oven off.
While this is happening, I think you hear Crystal Gazer in the background, like muffled, like, renewable energy. I mean, it's just like, it's such a big deal. And like, she's just bullshitting. Like, just these little like faded out like words with like dots in between and like unintelligible, like, just yammering.
Yeah.
Your relationship is compromised. It needs to end, and the relationship can begin anew in another location. But this place is as good as dead. This relationship, I mean, and we should just put it in its grave. Do you understand?
There are innocent people in this building. You were just berating me for the people that my work would kill. Unconnected to me, may I add. And yet you are willing to kill everyone in this building. When you don't even know anything, you don't even know what's happening yet.
Alright, then where do you want to meet?
There's a diner down the street.
Okay.
30 minutes.
I'll see you there then.
Don't break into my apartment again.
Then he'll head out.
Do you go through the front door? Or do you go through the open window?
Open window?
Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 21 of Tales to Inspire. I'm your host, David White, and I'm sorry that this episode is coming out a little late for you all. I wish that I had a good excuse, but I really don't, because this weekend I have just been playing a lot of the new Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom game, and I 100% forgot that there was supposed to be an episode released yesterday, so that is my fault. But you know what? I haven't really lost myself in a video game in a long time, and it's been nice to just kind of forget everything and play a video game. I don't get that luxury a lot anymore. So I'm sorry that this episode is late, but I hope that somewhere, wherever you are, you can get lost in a sort of medium where you forget about the troubles and the obligations of every day, and you just have fun and live in that world for a little bit. And, if that's our show that you're getting lost in, well, that's so cool. Thank you for getting lost in our show. But, don't forget to feed the dog and cook dinner and, drink a lot of water. But anyway, let's get to some show notes before we get back to this episode. I hope that you've been enjoying these character-centered episodes lately. I really enjoyed recording them all. I really enjoyed getting to dig into these characters and just having fun kind of exploring their personalities and their quirks and powers and their own unique stories. And that is something that I want to continue to do in Season 2. And speaking of Season 2, we are almost ready to start recording Season 2. So I'm waiting to start recording Season 2 until I am done finishing or I'm finished editing Season 1. of Tales to Inspire, just so I can be done with season 1, and then I can completely focus on season 2, writing the story, coming up with character beats, and editing it all in the same time. And my plan right now is to be finished editing season 1 of Tales to Inspire by the end of this month, May. And once I'm done with that, we're going to start recording season 2, because I want to keep this good vibe train going. So we're very close to starting season 2. Now, why am I telling you this? Well, there's 2 reasons, really, and both of them involve our Patreon. As you know, we are fully supported by the generous monthly donations of our patrons on Patreon. They help us pay for our sound effects, our music, and it also pays our casts $5 per hour we spend recording. And it sounded like I said cats. I was saying cast. It helps us pay our cast. Although, if these cast members have cats, it's also probably going towards them because cat's expensive. But it helps us pay our cast. And with us about to start recording season 2, I would love to pay our cast for what they record in season 2. So if you do not give to our show yet, please consider clicking the link below, going to our Patreon, and giving any amount you can. We are trying to get back to our $400 a month goal where I can sustainably pay each performer, as I said, $5 per hour we spend recording. So if you would like to help us reach that goal and sustainably pay our performers starting next month when we start recording season 2, please go give on our Patreon. Now, you might be saying, well, what's in it for me? Why should I give $5 an episode for this thing that I get to enjoy free? Well, that's a good question, and this brings me to my second point, which also involves Patreon. Because if you give $5 a month, you can listen to the rest of the episodes of Missed Conceptions. There are 28 episodes of Season 1 of Tales to Inspire, and I'm just going to check Patreon real quick to see how many episodes have been released to our $5 and up patrons. 25. So you could be listening to episode 25 right now instead of episode 21. And once the rest of those episodes get uploaded, you'll be able to binge listen to the rest of Season 1 of Tales to Inspire before anybody else. So if you want to see how this season ends, please go give $5 or above to be able to listen to the rest of Season 1. And I'm talking about Patreon, and I should give a shout out to our 2 new patrons. I would like to give a shout out to Heinz. Heinz, thank you so much for supporting us. I really like your ketchup. I'm not super solid on your mustard or your relish, but your ketchup, Heinz, the Heinz ketchup, it's pretty awesome. Heinz, thank you so much for supporting our show. And also, thank you to Louis Schoener. Schoener. It's like Louis Schoener, right? It has to be Schoener. Schoener, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, please let me know. If I'm not pronouncing it correctly, please let me know. But Louis Schoener, we sure do appreciate you supporting us. Anyways, we are so appreciative to all of our patrons, past, present, and future patrons, for supporting our show and making it able for us to do what we are able to do with every episode. We couldn't make this show without you. Thank you so much, patrons. Now, I'm going to let you get back to the rest of this episode. I'm going to get back to playing some more Tears of the Kingdom. I gotta find some more shrines. I need some more heart containers up in here. Omission crawls out the window. Crystal Gazer, I think you have the realization that you mentioned earlier.
God.
You slapped the hell out of your head in real life.
It wasn't that hard. I could do it much harder.
Don't, please. Let's see. I guess you rolled... Yeah, sure. Go ahead and roll another examine.
Okay. Come on, baby. Big money, no whammy, no whammy. Okay. That's a 4.
Again?
No, that's a 4 after the -2s. I rolled a 6.
Okay.
Can I burn a bond? I'm burning a bond with Omission, right?
Right. I'm always burning shit when I'm not even there.
That was me, and I think only me.
Yeah.
She's mad right now because she's like, Omission totally effed this up, but then she's kind of like, okay, well maybe it wasn't that big of a deal because then whoever like is listening in would have heard something very different. Okay, so that steps it up to a 7 and 9, right?
7 through 9. So you get to ask me, what is it? Yeah, you get to ask me a minimum of 1 question, but it's a number equal to your investigate.
My investigate is +1, so 1.
So yeah, 1 question. So
1 question.
Ask me your question.
Can I determine where this thought is coming from? Like where, like location-wise?
Yes. It is coming from Dr. Fusion's briefcase.
She goes over to the briefcase and clicks it open.
It was already open because I opened it to get the vial.
Oh yeah. So go start rifling through it, trying to figure out where this device or whatever.
Yeah. You reach in, you grab that energy source, you move to the side, you start grabbing papers, shuffling pins, like blueprints, all this stuff. You dump it all out. Nothing in there. And then you kind of sit there for a moment. But that voice is still so very close. And then your eyes, I think we have a panel of your eyes drifting over and landing on the canister, sitting on the floor.
Hello? She but this is like a thought, pointed at that canister.
We see that thought bubble.
Hello?
But the response you get back, it's still unintelligible. It's like it's far away. It's distorted. It's strange.
Doc, if I open this container, what happens?
Have I tested that?
I don't think you have. I think all you've done is connecting.
I've connected it to things.
Yeah, you've connected to things. You've siphoned it off from the central battery, or the central thing you have. But you've never just opened whatever this is.
God, have I been killing an organism this whole time? That would suck. Okay. I'm not sure, to be honest. I've only ever opened it in secured circumstances.
Sweetie, I think it's sentient.
What?
Yeah.
He's just staring at it and you just
She reaches to the canister and puts her hands around it and just clasps it between her hands and gives it this deep look and says, I'm trying to think, what's the right thing to say to a sentient being in a
Blink
canister?
once if you're sentient.
She just sends this wave of calm to it and says, "Who are you?"
And again, I think the response you get is just muffled and you can't understand it.
I really want to open this canister right now.
Do it.
But I'm really concerned. Okay.
Doc will try to stop you, but I think it has to happen.
So is it just a screw off? Like, is it like a mason jar? Like,
yes, it's a mason jar.
It basically is. What did the canister look like? We described it. I think.
So the canister, the way I described it was, it is essentially a Scream canister from Monsters Inc.
Right. Okay, but smaller.
Or like one of the juice things from Pikmin. Whenever you fill it up at the end of every day.
But like canteen sized, thermos sized, roughly.
So the one you had was a bit bigger.
Oh.
But I think this one, like, it's travel size. You're experimenting with it.
Okay. Yeah. I've like siphoned some into a smaller container.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say test tube size, maybe.
Well, if it's my storage container, I think it's like a test tube with a rubber seal, and that it has a tightly screwed on top that has like, it's like off of a fuel tank of a vehicle. You can push a tube onto it, and it like snaps it in.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, yeah, it's something like that on top, but you could just screw it off of the rubber gasket. Yeah.
Okay. Crystal Gazer starts unscrewing it.
Yeah, I'm unscrewing it.
I think as Doc realizes what you're doing, and as you like get the last screw, Doc like lunges towards you. Wait.
And I think you lash out to grab it, and I think you hit the test tube out of Crystal Gazer's hands. It goes flying through the air, and it shatters. And as it shatters, the energy bursts out. And I think the two of you kind of shield your eyes from this intense blast. And then I think we have a panel of, like, the artist has drawn the hand up close to the panel, and then through it, we can see the glowing corona of this light, but there's a figure inside of the light through your fingers. And now we see a bubble that says,
Do I recognize the language?
Nope.
Okay.
Neither of you understand what it is saying. And this being that is glowing with this intense energy turns to you, and it's almost like looking at a unfiltered night sky. This beautiful body with these just glittering constellations all throughout its skin. Its eyes are like looking into the sun itself. It turns to you.
We don't understand you.
It takes a step towards you, and as it takes a step towards you, its foots come down on the carpet, and we can see like singe fibers curling up around the foot.
Doc pushes Margaret behind him. He can probably handle a little radiation if this thing is a problem, but
so when he does this, because she was about to like try to connect with its mind, and being behind Dr. Fusion now creates like distortion, so she can't quite get her message through. But what she's trying to say is, we mean you no harm. Like, that's what the thought she's trying to send. She's trying to send a calm, like, we mean you no harm. Like, calm, like, we're good. Like, this is good. Like, we don't. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you got some power. Let's not start lashing that around. Like,
so you're like trying to force this message through the filter.
Yeah.
But it's not all of it is getting to this being, and quite frankly, even if it was, I don't think it would understand. And so there's another word bubble that says, it's like looking around the corner of the room. And then it starts to glow brighter and brighter. Dr. Fusion, you can feel heat coming from it.
So he's slowly circling towards the door and like pushing Margaret around with him.
We turn the page, and there's this huge splash page of the thing, its arms extended, chest reaching towards the sky, a huge text bubble coming out of its mouth. And then there's a huge explosion. and I think we see a cutaway of the building as just this like the rings of Saturn extend from this building, and as they extend past the buildings, lights come on all across the city. Dr. Fusion and Crystal Gazer, you are thrown out into the hallway, these glittering specks of constellation dust flittering through the door towards you.
Doc definitely like spins and covers Crystal Gazer as they fly through the open window.
Yeah. And I think we have a panel of Omission. Omission, where have you gotten to the diner?
It hasn't been that long. You probably could see
Probably
this
like
from where
out
he
on the
is.
street and just like,
They blew it up without me.
yeah,
I know.
like he had such a fuss about it, and now like he's such a
He just wanted it to himself.
yeah, he's such a
Oh my
diva.
gosh.
Oh my god.
Okay, and then we cut back inside. Marlo, you rolled a 7 through 9 on that examine.
Mhm.
And so I think I'm going to choose the choice that says the answers profoundly affect you, mark a condition, or step a bond clock forward. Because that was kind of intense.
It was.
Yeah, it was. I think so to backstory to understand, so I know before I do this, because I was thinking that I might step up the bond clock with Dr. Fusion, because it's like you've been entrapping a living being. But did Dr. Fusion have any
Didn't know.
knowledge?
There's
that?
no way he knew.
I don't know.
So if there's no way that, because he did just say he doesn't know how they did it, right?
That's true.
He just said that. So that doesn't make any sense then, in my opinion.
I don't even know what this stuff is. Like, I just have been testing it, and I still have no idea what it is.
So then I think I need to mark a condition then.
Okay.
Angry. We're going to go with angry. She's angry that someone would do this to a living being.
Mm-hmm. So the two of you are in the hallway, these dust mites falling all around you. You still need to meet up with Omission. What do you do?
I think there's a moment. Can we have a moment here? Because there's like, it's a very like Final Fantasy X, like fluorescent, like,
For sure.
moment. And he's like turned and grabbed her, right? And like, so I imagine that they've fallen. And she's laying.
It's like this slow motion spinning through the air through the window with like the light coronas just.
Yeah. And so there's this moment where she is being like held while they're flying sort of through the air. And you just see her like, she's like totally confused. This whole situation's totally insane, but they catch eyes. And it's like flying through the air during it. And that's like the thing. And then they land hard, and the air knocks out of her. And she's breathless, and she's staring into his eyes. And I think that's a moment.
When he sees you breathing again, he looks up and is there anything left in the apartment? Like, can we see anything?
I think you look in the apartment and it's just wrecked. There's a huge blast where the creature was standing. The furniture's all pushed away from it. Mm-hmm. I think any glass, anything like that is shattered. But lights that were not directly there, like that light bulb is shattered. But like the lights in your bedroom, the lights in the kitchen, everything else is on.
Okay.
Even
so
if
it only
was not
damaged
switched
my
on.
apartment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, what the hell was that?
I am not sure. See, I believe it's gone. Are you hungry?
Hungry?
I'm feeling hungry for some reason. There's a diner down the street.
I don't know how you'd be thinking about food in a time like this.
I don't
Okay.
know. This was a lot.
I think
He's remembering that he needs to go to the diner, but he doesn't remember why he needs to go to a diner.
That's clever. That's clever. I did not think about that.
That's me every time.
We turn the page to y'all walking into the diner. Omission, you've already been there, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think as soon as y'all see him, you remember, oh, that's why we need to come to the diner.
I think you see us walk in, and Crystal's Gazers looks a little winded and out of it, but she's physically fine. But you see Dr. Fusion, he's got like burns on like the lapels or on like the back of his coat from this explosion that just happened in his lab or in his apartment.
Looks like you guys something happened, so we can continue our conversation here.
Well, we figured out what that listening thing was. She looks at Doc. I don't know how to explain it, but
I still don't think we really know what it was. But whatever I've been experimenting with, whatever this energy that I recovered from the Alps, it is a sentient being. We need to return to my lab. The rest of it is there.
Where's the sample that you had in your apartment?
Margaret opened it, and it reconstituted into a being of some sort, but then it exploded.
it was a little bit of an oopsie-daisy moment.
So you killed it?
We didn't touch it. It just went off.
And there's more of it.
The rest of the sample is in my lab.
Alright. Well, let's go then.
Actually, before we leave the diner, you're always so impulsive. A lot of things that happened in Germany were because of your actions, because of your inability to wait for more information. We must be careful with this. You have to slow down.
Sound like the U.S. government.
I don't know about that slow.
I don't regret anything that happened in Germany.
You don't regret a child firing a pistol and killing a man.
I suggested she not be in war. And everyone else seemed perfectly fine. It was her choice. She wanted to be in war. What happens after is just a product of war.
We would never have been in that situation in the first place if you had not rushed. If you had waited.
She wouldn't have been in that situation if you guys kicked her out and sent her back to America.
He's not wrong, but Dr. Fusion is not going to give him that.
Well, we also didn't think she'd be, fighting the leader of the Third Reich,
You brought something naive and innocent to war. It fully hoped that it would remain so by the end of it. I think that is optimism to a degree that could possibly borderline insanity. Nothing innocent remains so in war.
We did not have any illusions of her being unscathed.
And she killed a man. Just a man. She did what she had to do. She should be proud.
You should never be proud of killing. That is where you and I differ.
We do. I think some people do need to be killed.
Heroes kill when they need to.
The concept of a hero is a fabricated media production that has as much truth to it as America being a hero in of itself.
Doc slams his fist on the table. A hero is a symbol to the people. It is a symbol for that we're not all just monsters.
I think symbols are just a bedtime fairy tale. I think it's a way to feel good at times. And I think it's something to tell your kids. But this is reality. And we need to do what's right, even if we have to get our hands dirty. And I appreciate people like you. I think they have their place. But I don't regret what happened in Germany.
Milk, you are not alone because of your powers. You are alone because of your cynicism.
This is true.
I think in between Dr. Fusion saying you're alone because of your cynicism and you saying this is true, I think we have another shot of Hush looking at you. Maybe one of the times y'all were planning in the motel room, sitting on the bed next to each other. Maybe she had a disappointed look on her face. But in the next panel, we have you saying it's true.
Crystal Gazer reaches over and puts a hand on Doc's forearm. Throwing personal insults ain't gonna help the situation.
It's not an insult, it is a lesson. And I hope he takes it to heart.
You're not a teacher.
You ain't his pappy either. Listen, Milk is who he is, and that's okay, sweetie. And we don't have to like each other.
Name
Lord
is
knows
Omission.
I don't like Milk.
Not Milk. Don't call me Milk.
Fine, Omission. We don't have to like each other. Lord knows I got some negative connotations after that whole Ubermensch beating my ass thing. But we got a job to do. And you're right. That job is bigger than all of us. And we got to do it no matter what. It's not about being a hero. It's about doing the right thing.
No matter what the cost.
She looks at Doc and then looks back at Omission. No matter what the cost.
I think you saying that, Doc kind of glances over at you, and he's got a look in his eye like he doesn't think you know what you just said, and he just kind of looks down and shakes his head, and sometimes the cost is too great.
What do you think the cost is?
I don't think we know yet. And he gets up from the table and walks outside.
And down in the bottom right-hand corner, we see the words,
Thanks for listening to this week's
continued.
episode of Tales to Inspire.
End
We'll
of
be back with our
episode.
next episode in 2 short weeks. If you have social media, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. Like and follow us at Misconceptions Pod for up-to-date information about the show, behind-the-scenes pictures, and just to show us your general positive feelings about the show. We also have a Discord. You can click the link below to join our Discord so that you can chat with other friends of the show and chat with other cast members directly. We also have an email. If you would like to contact us that way, you can email us at misconceptionspod@gmail.com. This show is fully supported by the generous monthly donations of our patrons on Patreon. If you would like to join that elite group of supporters and gain access to exclusive content, please consider joining our Patreon. The Tales to Inspire theme song was composed by Esteban Del Pino. You can find out more about his music on fiverr.com/IAM_. _WAKE. Omission was played by Mitchell Wallace, who can be found at Mitch Bustillos on Twitter. Crystal Gazer was played by Marlo Bogus, who can be found at Marlo Bogwitch on Twitter. Dr. Fusion was played by Occam Razor, who can be found at Occam Soccam Robo on Twitter. And I'm David White, your editor-in-chief. You can find me at Mr. Banana Socks on Twitter. The role-playing game system used in this production was a modified version of the Worlds in Peril role-playing game by Sam Joko Publishing, featuring elements from the Avatar Legends role-playing game and Masks: A New Generation role-playing game, both by Magpie Games. Tales to Inspire is a product of the Misconceptions Podcast Network. Find out more about our other shows and buy cool merch at misconceptionspod.com. And that's it for this week's episode of Tales to Inspire. Thank you so much for listening, and keep it nerdy, y'all. Okay, so, all right, let's talk about that episode. How's everybody feel about it?
Good. Yeah.
Depressed.
Good.
Yeah, I think
No, good.
chill.
That was very good. That was really,
Yeah.
really good. Man. I think that... Oh, man. Doc is just... At this point, the resolution is that Doc is just gonna... He's just kind of given up. There's no way he's gonna change Omission's mind. At all. So all he can do is just try not to let himself be brought down by it, and try just to salvage what he can from this team up.
Next episode, using more kids.
Okay. Crystal Gazer, Omission, how does your character feel coming out of this episode?
Oh. I mean, since the very unfortunate I guess, our last episode, he's just been kind of back on the grind of doing stuff. And so, yeah, I think he just hasn't really dealt with his feelings. And now he has to fix what he perceives as someone else's problem. And continue to finish what he and Hush started.
Crystal Gazer, what about you?
So, I like to think in theater terms. When you walk into a scene, you have a mission, right? What is your objective? What is your motivation as a character, right? Crystal Gazer started this episode just hoping to finally hook up with the man that she has been in love with for, eons. But
you guys could have still. Hang on.
So, from that perspective, her mission was not accomplished, right? They had moments, right? And that's good. And things are on a, projected path, right? But I think by the end, she is trying to play peacekeeper between two entities, two different, people who both have a point, And so by the end, she's worried about Doc because she can tell that he's sort of given up. So here in this situation, she's not really a points person. She's not trying to make a point or trying to convince anybody of anything. She's really just trying to play peacekeeper in this situation. So she is confused and concerned that there's a sentient being that they've kept captive for a period of time, and trying to, so all of those things. So I think she's confused more than anything.
Yeah, so before we started recording, I kind of not sat everybody down, but I was like, so characters are going to come in with lots of feelings to this episode. Let's make sure that, no players' feelings get hurt. So, player check-in, how is everybody after that episode?
Good. Yeah, good. I mean, I hope that you guys can get yours in some form or fashion. I don't know, but yeah.
Least of our worries, I think.
That might be the least of Doc's worries.
Okay,
it is not
valid,
the least
valid.
of Margaret's worries. She is very concerned about this.
Let's give it the weight it deserves. Okay.
Yeah, It's so interesting because I think, with maybe the exception of Geiger Gwyn, our three characters are the most we are so stuck in our beliefs of what things are. Geiger Gwyn is obviously is also very driven by her own sense of what the world is, but our three of us are so just, we know what our world is like and we're driven to keep it that way. But our vision of what the world is so different. And it's so interesting to have all these very strong personalities just in a kind of a cluster of emotions and pain mixed in there. They're so interesting.
Yeah.
Because you've got Torchbearer, who is kind of at a point in his life where he's questioning a lot. Mm-hmm. And he's just trying to survive at this point and try to make sense of the fact that his view on the world is flawed, and he's trying to figure that out. Sister Solstice is trying to figure herself out. She's just a kid, so she doesn't really know what the world is like at all, and she's seeing the horrors of the world, so she's evolving in that way. And yeah, it's so interesting.
It's just sadness on sadness. Yeehaw.
We got a very depressing superhero group.
I know. This is slowly turning like Watchmen or...
what's that? Next season needs to be bubbly, crazy, hilarious.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, those are
and it won't
points.
be because I'm in it.
Yeah, I want to drop in next season once or twice and just be like, what up? Things are still sad.
Yeah, we're still sad over here. Yeah, those were interesting points, Occam. I feel like Torchbearer would feel a little bit better after having heard your little speech about heroes being symbols and wanting to inspire people to be more than monsters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that Torchbearer, through osmosis, really has just had such a big impact on Doc, because Doc always wanted to be that hero for the people, mm-hmm. to show that because of his culture and the problems that were happening in Germany, he wanted to show that not everybody was like that and that there were good people. And so I think seeing Torchbearer, this beacon of goodness, mm-hmm. has really had just this osmosis effect on him.
I will be very interested to see how that progresses.
Oh yeah, it'll be a will they, won't they?
So I think on that point, because Crystal Gazer has been, she's been on the like receiving end of a lot of abuse in her life, like, and that's sort of veiled in a way, right? That I'm not going to get into. But it's left her very hopeless about the world or the people in it. So, and that's all kind of like compiled, when you kind of compile that in with the fact that she can read people's minds and know their innermost workings of their minds, right? So she can see the most basest thoughts, like the most base thoughts of any person that she interacts with. On top of that, she knows what they're thinking about her. She knows what's happened to her in her past, and she knows all of this stuff. And so she doesn't view people a lot of times as good. And everything is a means to an end, right? Because that's how everyone, like, in her mind, that's how everyone else's minds work. That everything is a means to an end. So that's built her sort of philosophy on, and really sort of strangely aligns her with Omission in some ways, I think, in that the means are always justified. Like, it's always this sort of, we do what we have to do to survive, because people don't always have our best interests at heart. Yeah. Even if they never act on them, their thoughts or their ideologies, or all of these people that have done all of these things and made me feel this way and made me feel powerless and done all this stuff, like, that's sort of her mindset. So she wants to believe that, right? But in the same vein, there are people that out there that are good, because again, she can read minds. So it's not like everybody's minds are just trash fires. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like, we have to do what's right. But in the same way, you always have to just, do what you have to do to make sure that the thing happens. Standing up to injustice or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But as, Mitch was there, right? Occam was not, but the conversation that she had with Torchbearer, so again, here comes Torchbearer into the conversation, about, like, be a Boy Scout on your own time. Like, we're fighting for the United States of America. Like, the right call is doing the right thing for our people. The right call is not, like, trying to convince some Nazi superhero that they need to be good now. Like, fuck that, or forget that, That's not the call. Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting because our characters are romantically linked and have had opposite reactions to Torchbearer. Because you are kind of this realist, and my character has Dr. Fusion has almost kind of become an idealist. I don't think that's right.
Yeah. No, yeah. I was going to say idealist.
So the question then becomes, if she could read his mind, would she really be attracted to him?
Oh, that's a super good. Oh my god. Whew. Ooh.
Oof.
That's sadness.
Ooh. That's something.
I mean, honestly, that's the reason that she, like, gravitated towards him at all, because he's an enigma to her. He's so, not only can she not read his mind, but his, like, through his actions and the way that he's treated her, she has never felt like there was this, pressure to be something, or to be this, like, attractive woman who was charismatic and a Hollywood starlet. Like, she's literally just someone who hangs out.
Yeah, he doesn't put you on a pedestal or, like, fawn over you.
Exactly. And I think that's a huge component that, like, yes, that's the negative point of view, is that she can't read his mind, and maybe if she could, she wouldn't like him. But she doesn't like most people because she can read their mind. So it's like, you can look at it two ways, right? But him treating her like she's just a normal human has helped a lot, because, I mean, it's also made her, like, frantic to, like, it was like, I don't know how to explain this, but, like, when someone you desperately want to give you attention is not giving you attention in the way that you want it, I don't know if this is relatable to anybody else. You have this need for, it's like a notice me senpai sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that sort of feeling has sort of driven her in this perspective. So them finally sort of having the moment of this is a thing and we're admitting it's a thing, because she, should have at this point with anyone else would have known that it was a thing or that it wasn't a thing, so the uncertainty of it has driven her and the person that she is into kind of figuring that out. So again, yes, that's true, but that's like a negative perspective. That's a glass half empty perspective maybe on their relationship.
Yeah, it's interesting because like Doc is the only person that she can have a quote unquote normal relationship with. Because normal people don't know what the other person is thinking, really. They only know what they're told and what they can kind of pick up on in context clues.
Right.
So that's actually really interesting, yeah.
That's fate, baby.
Is it though? Getting deep. Getting deep. Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any takeaways from this episode? Anything they're looking forward to?
Looking forward to finding out what the hell that was in that.
Yeah, for sure. I have. Sorry, go ahead, Mitt.
Well, I was just gonna say I'm looking forward to seeing like just what happens during this time period concerning heroes and America.
Yeah, I do have one question for Mitch, and that is just purely for character knowledge. Has anything that Torchbearer or Doc said to Milk, like, affected him, like, profoundly?
I think the repetitious confirmation that he is alone because of who he is and not his powers. The same thing that Hush said to him before she left.
Yeah. Is it really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. I feel like, I feel so bad now, but damn, that's good storytelling.
I know, right? I was just like, he's like, oh, fuck.
I didn't realize that was pretty much the exact same thing that she told you.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Like, it was a tough, that episode was really tough. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Man.
But awesome.
That's awesome.
Yes. Beautiful storytelling.
Yeah, so that was probably the thing that struck out the most. You're so mean. Oh my god.
I felt mean tonight. Like I felt kind of mean with some of those digs, but I was like, I'm in this character. This is what he's feeling. He's gonna freaking say it. Plus, Doc is not someone who minces words. He has no like he will say what's on his mind regardless.
Mm-hmm. That's a good thing. Straight shooter.
Sometimes it's a good thing.
It's always a good thing.
Okay. Any other takeaways or points of discussion? Yeah, we will. We'll have to explore what exactly is going on with that energy source later. But for right now, let's go ahead and answer some questions. The end of session moves. So, which character made you feel like a welcome member of the team? How have you grown detached from the team? What dangerous threat or complicated problem did you overcome? And did you fulfill one of your drive book goals? And this is under the special moves tab on that Excel sheet. But whoever wants to go first and answer those questions, please go ahead.
Let's see. Which character made you feel like a welcome member of the team? I mean, there's two other characters here in this with me, so it has to be Doc.
Yeah.
So, I don't. Maybe it's the protection. Like it's protecting. I think is physically she is a normal person, right? She can be harmed like anyone else. She just her mental power. So that was That's a positive. Have you grown detached from the team? I think that answer also maybe lies with Doc, with her kind of siding with Omission here.
That's
Okay.
so funny because I was going to do the same thing.
And then, what dangerous threat or complicated problem did you overcome? I think definitely figuring out like what was happening with that entity.
I mean, did you solve that problem?
I don't think we solved anything with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it solved itself.
I don't
Well,
think,
yeah,
I don't
that's
think we solved
true.
anything.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. But like figuring out that that's what it was.
We released a Volt Orb. That's all we did.
Self-destruct. So yeah, maybe we didn't. Maybe it just created a bigger problem. But I would argue that like figuring it out, like what it was, might have been. I don't know how complicated that truly was. So maybe not. Did you fulfill one of your drive book goals? I think I've already fulfilled all of my drive book goals.
Yeah,
so.
I think you're the only person to have fulfilled all of them.
Holy
Yeah.
moly,
Okay.
how?
So I guess for that first question, you're stepping back your bond clock with Dr. Fusion, and you get to clear a condition or mark an achievement. Which one of those are you gonna do?
I'm gonna clear condition.
Okay.
I'm gonna clear guilty.
Okay. And then you also said that Dr. Fusion caused you to feel detached, so go ahead and step your bond clock back up with Dr. Fusion.
So it stays the same.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Who wants to answer those questions next?
I can.
Okay.
What character made you feel like a welcome member of the team? I mean, none?
Hey, I sided with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if there was one, yeah.
It had to be Crystal Gazer.
Yeah.
No
so-
way. Slinging insults all episode.
So I get to pop it back, right? And take a little
Yeah, so
thingy.
step back that bond clock, and then you get to clear a condition or mark an achievement.
Cool, yeah, we were not doing well, so this helps out a little bit.
Yeah.
Alright, so I get to mark an achievement. Alright, cool, done. Have you grown detached from the team? Finding out and confirming that one of his teammates during the whole Germany thing is part of, in his mind, the corruption that is America. Yeah, so then step your bond clock up one step. With Dr. Fusion. What dangerous threat or complicated problem did you overcome?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't. Myself? Yeah, not. I feel it was pretty chill. And did you fulfill one of your drive book goals? I am curious if painful catharsis.
Yeah. So the
Would be a
unlock
thing.
condition for painful catharsis is you do something to place yourself or the group in danger by acting irrationally because of something that happened in your past.
Nah, that does not happen yet.
Okay. Not yet.
But I feel like it's a coming.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah. Woo.
All right. And then Occam, over to you for Dr. Fusion.
Yeah. So which character made you feel like a welcome member of the team?
Omission.
Honestly, in this episode, in some ways, but in most ways, no.
Yeah.
I don't think I can, in good conscience, say yes to that.
That's totally fair.
Have you grown detached from the team? I think both of them.
Oh, snap.
Woo!
I think that he's seeing Omission as this unchangeable force at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes him feel like there's nothing he can do to stop to change him. He can't get through to him.
Aww.
And that kills him, but I think he's about ready to give up on that. And then I think he's still seeing her as like this person that he cares about, and it's probably the first person he's cared about in that way. And then when she says what she did about to Omission, when she says at any cost, he's realizing that maybe they're not as aligned in their way of thinking as he thought they were. And it's not enough to really change his feelings at all. It's just something, just another facet of her that he hadn't seen yet.
Yeah.
Mm.
So are you going to step up your bond clock with both of them?
I think I am, which actually puts me at 4 out of 4 with Omission.
Yeah, so you have a full bond clock with Omission. So that means you cannot step up that bond clock anymore. You can't burn any more bonds with Omission for a hit. And we will there is a move called Resolve a Conflict. And it says, when a bond clock is full, roleplay a scene where you have it out with the character represented by that bond clock. During the scene, the EIC may make hard moves against you to inflict conditions, burn other bonds, or turn your powers against you. After you've had it out, answer the following questions. And there are some questions that you'll answer. And then for each question that you answered yes, step back your bond clock by 1. So now that bond clock is full, we will need to have that Resolve a Conflict move.
For sure.
All right.
Woo! And I don't think I overcame anything. I failed to do what I set out to for this episode. And my drive by goals are not now. Because I did not speak about a time when I was powerless to help someone. I kind of talked about it, but I blamed Omission. So that's not me talking about feeling powerless. So
yeah. Okay. Well, all right then. Some interesting energy coming into the kind of getting closer to the end of season 1. Very interesting. We'll have to see what's going on with these characters next time we see them in panel. And I'm debating whether right now to give us a little after credits scene. Would y'all like a little after credits scene?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah. Encore.
Yeah, Marvel
Encore.
me, baby.
Gimme.
Okay, so we turn the page. And in the top left corner of this page, we see Oregon State University, July 1945. And I think we see you were at Oregon State University, but Dr. Fusion, I believe you said you were going to use something that a colleague had somewhere on campus to try to... I don't know. What was your plan with the Faraday cage?
So Doc was going to set up in a Faraday cage a way of containing the entity within the energy capsule thing that he has, as a way of releasing it so that it's not trapped in there, and trying to communicate with it without just releasing this entity that can just explode all the time into the public. Because that's hyper dangerous. So, yeah.
So, do you want
to? Sorry, I was gonna say. I was gonna say. Yeah, I think you figured that one out. In addition to not getting your deposit back on the apartment, I think that.
Yeah, that's probably not happening.
Yeah. So, Occam, why don't you go ahead and describe the scene to us? How have you set up this experiment?
Okay. So Oregon State University has this Faraday cage, which is set up kind of like It's like a metallic closet, essentially. And inside of it are these panels that kind of reflect energy. And it's meant to contain radiation and other kinds of energies. I think at one point it was used to... I think they were studying some sort of radiation for like a medical radiation for like cancer. And so he gets in touch with his colleague. He's like, hey, I've got this thing. I don't know what it is. Help me. And so they set up kind of a remote release mechanism so that they can put this capsule in there, open it from outside of the cage, and it will contain whatever this is.
Okay. So I think we are picking up right before you were about to do this. Crystal Gazer and Omission, you came with Dr. Fusion to do this experiment, so where are you at this time?
I think I'd be watching carefully, because the last time this person did any sort of research, a lot of people died.
During this process, Doc would have been explaining as well to Omission, because he knows he's like this. Doc would be saying, look, I'm trying to figure out what causes this. I'm trying to save this creature potentially and not release it to the public, because that's super dangerous. So bear with me. I need to find answers on this thing.
All right, just make sure if you have to destroy it, and if that's the safest thing to do, you'll do it.
It is important that we discover whether or how to even do so safely.
And like Omission will just step back and be forgotten again.
Crystal Gazer, where are you?
I think that Crystal Gazer's... So, Margaret's good at taking direction and helping, because that's kind of the basis of their relationship, I think, is she's around and she helps, and is a extra set of hands. Sometimes in the lab, not anything, like, technical. She just will move this cord over here, take that hose over there, like, hook that up to that, and super simple stuff. So she's been kind of, like, trying to be hands-on, but doesn't understand the science of it, so she's helped a bit, but she's kind of also watching with bated breath because, again, sploded last time.
And she looks real good in a lab coat.
Yeah.
Does everybody in this room have a lab coat? Does Omission have a lab coat?
He probably stole one, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, it is approaching the fateful moment. I think we see Dr. Fusion taking this canister that was found in the Alps, the last remaining part of this energy source that you stole from Nazi Germany. You walk over to the attaching mechanism, you slide it in, hear the ka-chunk, you rotate it to lock it in place, and then I guess you flip a switch to activate the Faraday cage?
So the cage itself is almost always active.
Okay.
But I lift a lever and it opens the capsule.
Okay. So, again, there is this bright light that comes out from the end of the capsule as this energy source is released. And I think this time you're kind of prepared for it, so maybe I'll have, like, goggles on. So we see, like, the light flashing off of you, and, like, you're all drawn with, like, the blue color, and, like, you have the goggles glinting off. I don't know, it's very stylized. But we see the energy source come out, and just like in the apartment, it starts to coalesce into a humanoid form. It is still difficult to look directly at it, but you can figure out its figure. And it pauses in this Faraday cage and starts to look around.
Das hört ihr all.
Could we say that since we know we can't communicate it, we could have found some linguist, a very talented linguist to try to start figuring out what they're trying to say, maybe?
Sure, is this person here?
I would assume so.
Okay.
Say so.
So as it says, Desarzier, the three of you turn and look at this person just standing there, eyes wide behind the goggles, and they look at you and look back, and I think they grab a chalkboard and they draw a symbol on it, and they walk over to the Faraday cage and they like tap it to draw its attention, and they start pointing at the symbol, and I think it on one side they drew like a smiley face, on the other side they drew an angry face, and they draw a circle around the smiley face and point to them, and then point to the three of you behind you. The figure turns, and it looks like, as it turns, the shifting cosmos of galaxies and constellations captured within its form, and just its eyes are these bright, intense stars. And it looks at you, and then it looks at the drawing.
Get you careful.
And the linguist looks back at you and shakes their head and lifts their shoulders, and then they start to draw again, and as they start to draw again, you hear a distant boom. You feel a sudden rumble. And I think as the five of you start to look around, the wall collapses. There's a huge rush of energy that comes towards you, knocks you all off your feet, and the next panel is blank. End of episode.